isn't stepping into power to protect Canadian sovereignty. He's here to dissolve it. This is not an elected leader with a mandate from the people. This is a banker groomed by global institutions, positioned at the helm of the most powerful central banks in the West, and now parachuted into Canada's top office in the middle of an engineered crisis. Carney was governor of the Bank of Canada during the 2008 crash. Then he was handed the top job at the Bank of England, becoming the first non-Brit to hold that position in over 3 centuries. That wasn't a promotion. That was placement. A signal to the global financial elite that Carney wasn't just one of them. He was ready for the next phase of the project. And that project is global governance, technocratic control, a world where countries exist in name, but real decisions are made by unelected bureaucrats, asset managers, and central banks. Carney has never hidden his loyalties. He's a key figure within the World Economic Forum, a trusted architect of Klaus Schwab's Great Reset. He doesn't just support stakeholder capitalism, he helped design its playbook. He spent the last several years preparing the framework for an economic transition that replaces national interest with global compliance, freedom with surveillance, and sovereignty with dependency. Carney's language is the same coded language used by every WEF loyalist: sustainability, resilience, inclusion, and climate finance. But decode that language and the reality is much darker. What they call climate finance is the commodification of nature, turning forests, oceans, carbon footprints, and even your personal behavior into financial instruments to be tracked, traded, and controlled. It's not about protecting the environment. It's about creating a new asset class for the elite. And once human behavior becomes an asset, it can also become a liability, something to be taxed, fined, or restricted. This is Carney's real vision for Canada, not protection from Trump, but deeper integration into a technocratic system designed in Davos and enforced through digital chains. He is a leading proponent of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, which are being marketed as efficient and modern, but are, in fact, tools of unprecedented control. Programmable money means conditional money, money that can be restricted based on who you are, where you are, what you say, or how you behave. Pair that with digital ID systems, biometric tracking, and algorithmic decision-making, and the result is a digital prison where your ability to participate in society depends on your willingness to comply with the demands of unelected global institutions. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is openly admitted policy. Carney has published it. The WEF has published it. The Bank for International Settlements has published it. What they need now is public consent, or at the very least, public submission.
Carney is a central figure in what's being called the Great Reset, playing a pivotal role in pushing Klaus Schwab's dystopian vision. He's a strong advocate for stakeholder capitalism, a model where global corporations, not governments, hold the power, all while cloaking it in the language of sustainability and inclusion. The truth behind these terms, including the promotion of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, reveals a digital prison, not a financial innovation. Carney's rise isn't about protecting Canada from external threats, including Trump. It's about integrating Canada into a global system that's already in motion. His vision for Canada isn't about preserving its national identity, but dismantling it entirely. Under his leadership, technocracy replaces democracy, where unelected elites like Carney manipulate policies for control. According to Whitney Webb, the technocratic future isn't a distant threat. It's already here. Let's hear more from her interview.
Enter Trump. Yes, Trump's rhetoric is hostile. Yes, his tariffs are aggressive, but that aggression is being weaponized, not resisted, by people like Carney. It creates the chaos needed to justify the solution, the elevation of so-called responsible technocrats into positions of unaccountable power. Carney steps in not as a champion of Canadian independence, but as the system's answer to Trump's disorder. But the order being offered is not democratic. It's not even Canadian. It's global governance disguised as national leadership. A managed transition from self-rule to centralized oversight, not from Washington, but from Davos, Basel, and BlackRock. Carney won't resist the encroachment. He will facilitate it. Because he's not here to lead, he's here to manage the integration, the merging of financial systems, defense strategies, digital infrastructures, and social controls. And this didn't start with Carney. It's been building for decades through trade agreements like NAFTA and USMCA, through partnerships in biometrics, cybersecurity, and cross-border data regulation. But Carney represents the final phase, the normalization of technocracy, the replacement of politics with procedure, of freedom with functionality, of leaders with managers. He doesn't rant like Trump. He doesn't posture like Trudeau. He speaks with the calm, measured tone of a man who knows the future is already written, and your vote isn't part of it. So while the media sells him as the adult in the room, what we're really getting is a global enforcer in a Canadian mask. A man who speaks for the institutions that created the financial crisis, profited from the pandemic, and are now positioning themselves as the saviors of the climate emergency. It's the same playbook: crisis, reaction, control, and behind it all is a vision of the world that has no room for national identity, individual liberty, or democratic resistance. Only metrics, only compliance, only systems. So ask yourself, is Carney really standing between Canada and Trump? Or is he helping to deliver the country into something far more dangerous, a system where sovereignty is obsolete and your freedom is just a temporary privilege, subject to revocation? This isn't about one man, it's about the machine he represents, and unless we name it, expose it, and reject it, Canada may soon become the test case for a new model of governance. One where elections still happen, but the outcome is always the same: rule by the unelected, enforcement by the digital, and ownership by the few.
Mark Carney's rise to power in Canada isn't about saving the country. It's about folding it into a larger, faceless global technocratic machine that treats national sovereignty like an outdated relic. While the world's been distracted by trade wars and border squabbles, Carney and his cohorts have been quietly orchestrating the demolition of independent nations, turning them into pawns in a global marketplace. And what are they selling? Your freedoms. Under the guise of buzzwords like sustainability and resilience, Carney's agenda isn't about protecting the environment, it's about controlling every aspect of your life. And it gets worse. Soon, human behavior won't be something private or personal. It'll be a marketable asset, tracked, monitored, and traded like stocks. According to Whitney Webb, everything about you could soon be tracked, quantified, and controlled, from your diet to how often you fly, even down to your political opinions. In this emerging system, every aspect of your behavior will be scrutinized to determine if you're playing by the rules. She warns of the rise of programmable money, where access to your funds could be restricted based on your actions. Step out of line, and your bank account could be frozen, robbing you of your financial freedom. But the control doesn't stop there. Webb foresees a world where digital identities, biometric tracking, and surveillance algorithms determine who has access to what. This isn't a distant dystopia. Today's web tracking and facial recognition are the beginning, and Carney's vision promises an even more invasive future. This digital technocracy isn't some accidental byproduct of progress, Webb argues. It's the result of engineered crises, economic crashes, pandemics, and geopolitical tensions, all orchestrated to create chaos, paving the way for even tighter control. The more we embrace this digital world, the more we surrender our privacy, autonomy, and freedom, all under the guise of efficiency and global cooperation.